A lot of people like to slag off the decade I was born in, the 80s. But hey, things weren't all bad back then. Quite a few memorable TV shows hit our screens during those years. I've decided to check out some video games which are based on programs of the time. They all feature some sort of super vehicle. First up is Airwolf. The supersonic stealth helicopter is out on its latest mission in an underground desert base. When the game starts, the first thing that comes to mind is, how the hell did the chopper get there? The cave, as you can see, is enclosed, and the only path available leads deeper into the base. A base which Airwolf will never escape, unless you possess godly piloting skills or use cheats. You will need the patience of a saint to deal with the never-ending frustration this game bombards you with. Okay, so what are helicopters known for? Their ability to hover. Unfortunately, this is a trait which Airwolf does not possess. The craft constantly sinks down to earth like a stone, so you have to tap up to stay in the air. It's not a good feature in a game which demands precise flying through narrow caverns. It also makes shooting targets a lot harder than it should be. An obstacle which blocks Airwolf's progress in most of the screens are these columns, which have to be destroyed. Unload bullet after bullet until an opening which is big enough to pass through has been blasted. It's tedious, as your bullets only destroy a minuscule pixel of the structure. Coupled with the terrible controls, a lot of the time will be spent flying up and down in front of a wall. The constant jittering makes you think that the pilot has consumed a little too much caffeine. Not a bad idea, really. If you intend to play this game, you'll need a lot of coffee to avoid falling asleep with boredom. It's not all just flying about, avoiding inanimate objects, though. That would be too easy, as hitting the walls or the ground only causes minor damage. There are also moving enemies to contend with. If they touch you, it's game over, and you have to start from the very beginning. I could live with that, if you could fight back. But alas, your weapon has no effects on the enemies you come across. I'll refer to them vaguely as enemies, as I have no idea what they're meant to be. Is that an orange cube? Looks like one of the chests from Gauntlet. What about this one? A blue and white tablet? Thank you. I'll need a pill to deal with the migraine caused by this game. It blows. The air in Airwolf is hot air, and the wolf is howling. Not at the moon, but in pain caused by this pile of poo. Believe it or not, there is actually an Airwolf 2. Thankfully, the sequel is at least playable. Ditching a lot of the tedious elements found in the first game, we are presented with a traditional side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. A poor man's R-type, if you will. One thing I find a little odd is that you fly from right to left. Most games start with you on the left-hand side, and you have to move right. It's not a big deal, but it feels a little strange. Not that the direction you fly in is the strangest part of this game by any means. I can't remember the TV series all that well, but I'm sure it was based on Earth. The game, however, appears to take place in space. Space? What the fuck? How do rotor blades work in space anyway? And why is Airwolf fighting giant blobs, UFOs, and a flying lizard head? If they wanted to make a sci-fi blaster, what was the point of acquiring the Airwolf license? One thing that returns in the second outing is the need to blow up walls. Thankfully you hover in this game, so I can live with it. One thing I can't live with, however, are the gun turrets. These things can't be destroyed. If you fire at them, your missile will fly through them. It's very annoying, as the turrets are normally placed in front of narrow passages you have to cross, and they have a nasty habit of firing just when you fly past them. Airwolf 2 is okay to play in short bursts, if you have some time to kill. Still, the Amstrad has a huge library of games, so I'm not sure why most players would choose this over the far better shoot-'em-ups available. Okay, enough flying about. Here's Knight Rider. This is a game where you are racing against time. The clock is ticking. But when you start the game, they take their sweet time in telling you where to go. Good morning, Michael. Devon has just informed me of terrorist activity in Chicago. Okay, Chicago, let's go to Chicago. Once you have picked a destination, you have to drive to it. As far as driving games go, this is dull. Accelerate to your top speed, and then you just have to press left or right when there's a turn in the road. There's no need to brake, there's no traffic to avoid, or even scenery to enjoy. Christ, how basic can you get? Stick a city in the background. Add some trees or road signs to the side of the road. Ugh. Trying to stop you are a never-ending swarm of helicopters. Why the Air Force is content to allow terrorist helicopters to fly about is beyond me. Maybe the Army played Airwolf 1 and now wants to steer clear of all helicopters. Who knows? You don't have to worry about the flying fiends though, because Kit will shoot them down. Not straight away though. He locks onto them and then waits a tiny bit before blasting them. Is he toying about with them? How evil! Is this Kit or his evil doppelganger car? By pressing T, you can take control of the crosshairs and shoot the things yourself. That's more fun, but means you will fail the mission. Why? Because when you control the weapons, Kit will drive, and he opts to travel at only half the speed which you can manage. You'd think a computer would have faster reaction times than a human and could zoom by quicker, but I guess not. Going back to the helicopters, they fire missiles at you, and they hardly do any damage. If you try to drive off the road though, your damage bar fills up in no time. You don't die, but taking damage lowers your top speed. What is ridiculous is that when your car is virtually destroyed, it still drives faster than an undamaged Kit, set as the driver. Upon reaching your goal, you take control of Michael Knight, who looks exactly the same as every other person you encounter in the game. The player has to avoid guards and reach a small room to learn where to drive to next. That's easier said than done though, because Michael moves about with the agility of a drunk snail, pulling a double-decker bus. The first level's okay, but the second one pits you against a trained killer, and this guy chases you down relentlessly. The only thing that stops him is bumping into other guards, which can result in some funny business. How the hell am I supposed to get past these two now? Ugh, sucks to this. It's almost as bad as watching the movie Knight Rider 2010. The last game I'm going to tackle is Street Hawk. Now, if Airwolf and Knight Rider couldn't inspire good games, what chance does Street Hawk have? The series got cancelled after just 13 episodes. But, surprise surprise, it's the best of the bunch. Adopting a top-down view similar to Spy Hunter, you drive about shooting the evil brown and black cars. You have to avoid hurting innocent bystanders though, or you'll get told off by your partner. After a while, you'll attract the attention of the police, so beware, because hitting a cop car is game over. You can dodge the pigs for a while, but to escape them completely, you'll have to use your turbo boost. There is quite a lot of stuff to keep track of in this game. Guys pop out of manholes and shoot at you. Crashing lowers your armor, and you have to mind your speed, because driving too fast overheats the engine. After a while, you'll get informed of a robbery which you have to stop. When you reach the crime scene, the game switches to a first-person view, and you have to shoot down the thieves. I feel sorry for Joe's joint. After playing the game for a while, you'll notice that the crooks keep on picking on this poor wine store. Go rob a bank or something. Can't anyone sell some booze in peace? Well, it's time for the final score. I'll finish off by saying 3 cheers to Street Hawk for being the only decent game I played during this review. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.